We've had gold for 150 years or more, and we have seen nothing positively from gold. We've had cocoa for nearly 100 years, and we've not benefited from cocoa. Now we have another God-given commodity, oil.
Ghana over the years has made various attempts at oil discovery, but it was not until the year 2007 that 40 miles deep into the sea in the west of Cape Three Points, after drilling 312 feet of the seabed, that high-quality oil and gas deposits that would produce about 120,000 barrels per day was discovered. Officially, oil and gas joined the ranks of our national pride. Cocoa, gold, timber, kente, batakari, and football. The whole country was thrown into a state of euphoria, like that of our independence,
We now have freedom.
like our winning the African Cup of Nations in years past, like our most recent qualification to the semi-finals at the World Cup in Germany. This state of jubilation, euphoria and excitement about the discovery of Ghana's black gold is rightly justified considering the prospects it holds for the country. Former President J.A. Kufuor said to Cosmos Energy after the discovery was announced to him at the castle in Osu, "Move quickly to develop the oil reserve to make the country, which has been grappling with energy problems, an oil producer, so that our country would not become a beggar in the energy sector anymore." The western region of Ghana became the toast region of the country. The destiny of Ghana lay buried deep in the waters of this region, a destiny unknown to anyone, and yet a destiny like a tool in the very hands of the people. The people of Ghana could use this tool positively and turn the economy and fortunes of the country around. Or, on the other hand, misuse or leave it idle so the lives of the people will ruin and remain in abject poverty. So, the oil dropped and the positives started to flow. The creation of various jobs in the oil and gas sector, the development of various infrastructure to meet the demands of the sector, the involvement of local actors in an otherwise foreign field of oil and gas, the development and training of skilled labor to take up jobs in the sector, the development of curricula for the teaching and training of prospective students in the oil and gas industry, and of course, the advantages therein for the hospitality industry. According to the Ministry of Finance, total receipts of revenue within the space of 5 years from 2011 to 2015 has been $3.0569 billion. The Petroleum Ministry has it that as at 2014, total employment within the oil and gas sector was 7,200, out of which 5,400 were Ghanaians.
I don't think that since Nkrumah's time we've had this kind of opportunity in the country.
The entire city of Sekondi Takoradi is beginning to witness massive changes in infrastructural development, including the building of a shopping mall to meet the needs of indigenes and visitors alike. The construction and rehabilitation of roads and railways, the metropolis is being given a new facelift so that investors can come and invest. The Town and Country Planning Department of the metropolis has conducted a study to look at structural development within the metropolis so as to meet the new challenges and demands of an oil region.
Expansion of the port ongoing, and at the same time there's going to be another reclamation of a section of the sea right from the Navy area to Nkontompo to create an oil refinery in a new city between Sekondi and Nkontompo. And we believe when these things are done, it will give us a plus in terms of beauty, in terms of convenience, in terms of giving the city a new facelift.
One major infrastructural boost the Western region had as a result of the discovery of oil is the construction of an entirely new port called Atuabo Free Port. The port of Tema is mostly a container port, while that of Takoradi deals with commodities such as timber, cocoa, manganese and bauxite. Atuabo Free Port is expected to take advantage of the oil sector and the opportunities that abound within the Gulf of Guinea. What is refreshing, however, is the fact that young Ghanaians are taking charge of affairs in this new development. Frank Hagan Brown is the commercial executive for the Atuabo Free Port.
The Atuabo Free Port is going to be a dedicated oil and gas free port that will be established in the western region of Ghana. It's going to have 3 main operational areas. So there's a supply and logistics base and a fabrication yard, which sits on about 100 acres of land. And then we'll have a rig and vessel repair facility as well. In addition, we want it to be a holistic infrastructural platform for the hydrocarbons industry.
There are several other local players making strides in Ghana's newfound love. SeaWorld is one of them.
SeaWorld is the only indigenous Ghanaian company that fabricated part of the second FPSO in Ghana. That was for the 10 project. We did the deck stools and the pipe racks. And according to the client, it was a very good work done.
In recognition of some of these great works by SeaWorld, the company was awarded Fabrication Company of the Year and Construction Company of the Year at the 2015 edition of the Ghana Oil and Gas Awards. Mr. Fafali believes the company could do more if legislature could be drawn to protect local players in the sector.
The legal framework has already been passed by government, and that gives us a very good foundation for building our workforce. This will ensure that the local content agenda is followed to the letter and that the capacity of locals are built over time.
Nyanikrom is a farming community in the Shama district of the Western region. According to the Obahima of Nyanikrom, Nana Akosua Jemfiaba II, her village has found its way on the world map due to the presence of companies that have made her community their home.
Ansana oyen babano na obiara mpo nyim Nyanikrom na obiara mpo nhwehwe ha de obaja asase mpo ato na so oyel ne be no edwuma kupi na wa baham no ma wa mande asase mpo no na nje no wa akoshe na yenyi layout bia mpo ha zil na ozinkan okafa surveyor be ya oba pick na asase ma town and country planning western region waji na washado na waye layout was mehen.
Zeal Environmental Technologies Limited is into the management of oil and gas waste. Zeal, a product of Ghanaian ingenuity, is 100% owned and managed by Ghanaians. It supports Togo, Benin, Liberia, Sierra Leone and Mauritania.
For instance, a company drill in Liberia, they have to set up here as their base because we have everything here, including waste management. We being here, it's great for them comparing to other countries.
Without the services Zeal is offering, big players in the oil and gas industry would have had to find other waste disposal services companies elsewhere, and this would have meant a loss in revenue to the people and government of Ghana. The benchmark Zeal sets for itself is world-class and comparable to any in the world.
When the oil was found, people were thinking, oh, how would Ghana manage, or how would the oil and gas drilling companies, how would they manage their waste? So we were on the ground putting this facility up.
Seth Arthur is an indigene of Nyanikrom and an employee of Zeal. He shares what impact the company is making in his community.
About 2 weeks ago, the doctors and nurses be na obi in school na awofono mbono so the scratch ba company no boa me mkrofo beble company no but one for school sam.
One thing that would make Kwame Nkrumah smile in his grave is the decision of indigenes of his area to form the Nzima Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This is to take advantage of the new opportunities in the area to ensure citizens' participation in business opportunities in the country. Joseph Apo-Ejei is chairman of the chamber.
The mere existence of the oil and gas industry in our location prompts the people that there is something around that they also need to benefit from. It prompts the people that there should be employment opportunities. It prompts the people that there should be reduction in poverty around. It prompts the people that they should have a fair share of whatever the oil and gas industry has. And for that matter, it prompts them that they should have improved livelihoods. I think during the time that we were doing the inauguration, we were about 69, and new members keep coming.
Quantum Terminals Limited has an LPG terminal that receives LPG from the gas processing plants and distributes the gas across the country. There are a lot more companies coming into the area that would provide the same services as Quantum. The difference, however, is in the fact that Quantum is a wholly owned Ghanaian company. Alex Amoako is the general manager of Quantum Limited.
The facility presently has 250 people working on it, and I'm happy to say that if you look at the staff strength, only 13 people are coming from outside of the region. In other words, the rest of the people are coming from Anochi, the Nzima area directly, and Western region at large. Everything about the company is wholly Ghanaian. It means that the benefits that are going to be derived from that business enterprise that has been set up in that locality stays within the economy.
In recognition of the need to equip Ghanaians, especially indigenes of the Western region, with the required skills to take up more places in the oil and gas sector, Kikam Technical Institute expanded its programs in welding and mechanical engineering to train people who will go and man the oil and gas installations. State-of-the-art machines designed to train Ghanaians in this specialized field were brought to the school. J.B. Apia is the principal of Kikam Technical Institute.
These programs are being run in 3 institutions: Kikam Technical Institute here, Takoradi Technical Institute, and Regional Maritime University. We need to train people who will go and man the oil and gas installations.
And so, all is well, it may seem, but the ugly side to countries that have discovered oil has been conflict. Conflict about who manages the resources and how. Ghana has a lot to learn from these countries the world over and within the sub-region. Already, some of the oil fields are in contention with neighboring Côte d'Ivoire, and tact must be employed in its handling to avoid conflict. The chiefs and people of the communities that hold these oil resources have raised concerns about the influx of foreigners and even companies unknown to them who are taking over the land. The issue of land grabbing and land ownership, of compensations, of resettlement among others, is of concern and must be dealt with. Awolai Amishie Kpanyeli III is the paramount chief of the Eastern Nzima traditional area who has some serious concerns. Concerns that affect the very core of our values and keeps him awake at night.
My difficulty is what will give way to what. Where we do not consider as a dry land, today people want to build there. Where our natural rivers and things passes that we're not concerned about today, people are blocking them. And so we've seen this phenomenon in the cities. And as we grow, we need a proper planning. We had this spatial planning that the chiefs should have been known of it, that be given the fact of it. They're not aware of it.
It is only natural that when a resource is found within a particular locality, the people of that locality must be among the first to enjoy the benefits. Communities that host multinational companies in oil and gas often bear the brunt of losing their livelihoods. Most often, they depend on their land for survival, but the resources often exploited is in the land as well. And so, apart from losing their livelihood, they are most often not qualified enough to be employed by these multinationals that require highly skilled labor. Awolai Avoblay is the chief of Anochi. He sits and watches with mixed feelings as gas resources are extracted from his village and carted across the country. Till date, his community is yet to realize what benefits exist for them.
As I'm talking, I say every blessing day, about 25 tankers, they fill them at Kontu. They live here to where they are going. Even at all, have been given one tanker for Anochi, that this tanker, you have to help us to use that money to do something in our communities.
The people of Anochi and surrounding areas are concerned about the heat that is generated as a result of the flaring by Ghana Gas. According to research, vegetation that is 200 meters from gas flare point suffer 100% loss in terms of crop yield. Those 600 meters away have 45% loss of crop yield, while those 1,000 meters away suffer 10% loss. Nana Kobnan Ketia IV is the Omanhene of Isikado in the Sekendi Takoradi metropolis. Nana remembers vividly the story of the people of Akonsombo and how the people from whose land the electricity for the entire country was generated got passed over.
You know, so the electricity was generated for other places, but the people who actually suffered in terms of their ancestral lands and their livelihood, they even bypassed the villages there.
This story of Akonsombo makes Nana livid, and he is afraid that something similar might befall the people of the Western region, especially that oil is a non-renewable resource.
This region happens to have gold, but it doesn't add value to it. It has manganese, it doesn't add value to it. It has bauxite, it doesn't add value to it. Now we have oil. So in a sense, most of the so-called resources are really somebody else's resources. We are just a region for extraction. So you become very worried whenever certain things are found in your region. And the question you ask is, to what extent does this benefit the people in the region?
Nana has sworn an oath to serve his people and is already concerned that young people are leaving the shores of this country in droves in search of greener pastures.
When people do that with their feet, it tells you that they don't have faith. They are voting for the country with their feet by walking out. And it tells you that in spite of everything you seem to have, there's something wrong. So we're hoping, and we still do hope, that the latest find would make a difference.
Nana Akosua Jemfiaba II has her own worry about the oil find and what it is doing to the moral fabric of her society.
Ejuma biara and ejuma kesi biara ba omanuma na oze ahoho na azeza aba nti no oil ibe so no ahoho abrofo na azeza aba nti no ewi am robbery na so wa akosho.
Kukua, not her real name, is a school dropout and currently prostituting. She's one of those attracted to the Western region as a result of the oil find. Even though she has learned a trade as a seamstress, she says the money is not as good as she makes from the new breed of clientele she gets from Takoradi, whom she says pay good money for her services.
Meme hozo ewa krabai hadam no ba utiminya lai mu edwena has oil ni swintina like abrofo ewa hanum.
In Kukua, we also learn about an increase in crime and violence that come along with the oil boom. She shares her experiences.
Mr. Majimi Fonda, na me na fofo ni bi won po bi o timi kase nipa na twese kan esine so omutimi jese kan de u phone o sika o bibia omutimi de yam.
59 years after independence, people of Ngloflo, birthplace of the Osagefo, are yet to see good roads. And yet, it is in these parts of Ghana that oil has been struck. Daniel K. Ishan is the DCE for Elembele District Assembly. One would expect him to be proud to preside over this area that gave Ghana its first president.
The road that you pass through, people say, the first president owned place. Why is that the road is not good? And if you are not careful, they will say that is the DC or the assembly is not performing. But we are doing our best.
If there is one thing the indigents of the ancient town of Lower Axim know best, it is fishing. They are blessed with the sea and the fish resource that comes with it. Almost everyone here is one way or the other connected to fishing. Fishing for the people of Axim is their livelihood, and anything that takes fishing away from them takes away their livelihood. For the past decade, fish stock has been declining, and the livelihood of over 2 million Ghanaians who depend on fish is at risk. Solomon Kusiampofo of Friends of the Nation talks about the practices that have led to the declining fish stock.
There are too many boats and too many people going for fishing. There is also overfishing. There is the use of unsustainable methods of fishing, where people use light to fish, people use small mesh size of nets to fish, people use chemicals to fish. All of these culminate into the declining of our fish stocks.
With the discovery of oil, fishermen have had to compete in the same maritime space with oil exploratory vessels, thus further aggravating the plight of the people. Solomon Kusiampofo has come face to face with actors in the oil industry and how they affect the livelihood of fisherfolk.
There has been recorded accidents between fishing vessels and also oil vessels, which has also resulted in the death of some of the fishermen. In some of these accidents, you realize that there wasn't enough communication between the maritime route of these oil vessels and also the fishing vessels, and that resulted in the crash and unfortunately the loss of lives.
Michael Noko is the chief fisherman and secretary to the District Canoe Council in Lower Axim. Michael is not a fish scientist, but he has been in this business long enough to know that fish is attracted to light. He talks about this phenomenon in relation to the conflict it brings between fisherfolk and the oil extraction companies.
Ada wo friend nam opekania. Inti efrina wo de besi wono enkania ye homma. Da menkania wa ye homma no yemfa ne da se efrini si ha na nnami da yemfa ne da ankobra. Enya nkania no okwa kesi wona da menam ni na obetwa wa ba bebia nkania ne kese no wono. Inti so bebe gina wona dama no chere bebi o ede ye koka ye jima no enam ne ni wo we na wa bebi ankane no wono inti no ede ye nso ye bebi a ankane no wono a enam no wogua na abese no ne ye jima na ho ene ye kwa ne wo se mama ye nko ho inti obandama aka wa ya agba ye da kwa juma ye no na ye de ensa pen ye da aba
rake no na atemi won yakasa de ye nko no de ye na ye de ye pede ana de ye pede ye ko rake no just ada enti dem okom because ya kan no na ye nya bi nti be ma nam no wono sisi adam no so afi ansa na waba tu no afi ansa na waba na sisi aso rake na o de bisi no light no aso no ama da ma nam ni na we kijan rake no nti ye konsu na yenye bia ase ye ko rake no ye ko hwede o ho anada wunu nti ye ko to wonde o.
Alex Yausaba is the regional director of fisheries in the Western region. The fisheries department is mandated to regulate and manage the fishing industry to sustainably exploit the fisheries resources. Yausaba agrees that fish are attracted to light, but thinks that perhaps there is a solution in sight to solving the problem of declining fish stock in our waters.
We are in a country where we don't have any marine protected area. So those areas could be deemed to be artificial or marine protected areas, safe haven for the fish. And every space has its carrying capacity. The fish may be attracted to that place, but as they breed, the space becomes too small for them. There'll be competition for space, food, everything. So they start moving out. So that will inure to their benefit, because as they move out, they grow, they will be bigger and there will be more for them to catch.
Solomon Kusiampofo of Friends of the Nation has a different opinion.
So we need to put in place a marine spatial plan and have marine reserves. The marine spatial plan will designate specific areas for fishing, will designate specific areas for other maritime activities such as oil and gas and also transportation. If you are not able to put all these in place, then we are going to create a bigger mess for our fishing industry.
Michael has a story to share.
2013, Marakuya Metre, Mihamako, near sea traffic, Sepaka 1. Amayamanu Webien, Nipako Tonsu Yehun, And I mean, you can say you wonderful.
Mr. Mensah is a fisherman and he goes where the fish is. Though a native of Osu, he has had to settle here in the western region in pursuit of his livelihood. Now, oil has also come to settle in the same space with him. And this, to Mr. Mensah, is not good. Apart from competing with oil rig vessels and other marine trawlers, there are frequent boat accidents, and Ghana has no law in place regarding how to tackle this phenomenon. Solomon again.
If there is any activity by an oil vessel within the marine space, the fishermen should be well communicated to. They should know these are the routes that the vessels will be passing through and that we should try to avoid them.
Since 2009, there's been over 30 recorded cases of whales that have washed ashore.
This is unprecedented. There has never been in the history of this country where within just a space of 6 years, you have about 30 whales washed ashore. And this calls for intensive investigations. The EPA set up a committee to look at this. But for me, it should go beyond what the EPA has come up with. We should do an extensive investigation to see what are the causes of the death of these whales. Because when these whales washed ashore, the impact is on the communities. You know, when the whales are in decomposition state, there are some certain bacteria which come out from these whales. And if it gets in touch with you, you can't be impotent. Another whale was washed ashore in Hafasini in the Jomoro district. And if you see the pictures, I was marveled. People were sitting on the wheel. People were just enjoying on the wheels. Then I asked myself, wow, we need to increase education because these people's lives are at risk.
Zanzule is one of the communities hosting a multi-million-dollar oil company called ENI. The Queen Mother of Zanzule was full of hope and happy that her people will get lucrative jobs and turn their lives around. But that was not to be. Their farmlands have been taken over and some of her people are yet to get compensated for this.
Ejuma ba sisi Ghana guys wa ba ikro wo Atuabo knowledge girlfriend asam da na nochi mo fama mpo wogu a won fo biala wo ejuma no mu nti ahia ya ha de yampia na da.
Isaac Newton Baini is a youth leader within the Sanzule community.
If compensation is being paid for landowners, although the sea is not belonging to anybody, but there are people also working in it, which compensation should also be paid to them for losing that livelihood.
Kwesi J. Enning is a member of the Institute of Financial and Economic Journalists. He has reported on a number of issues affecting the livelihoods of the people of the Western region. He is, however, concerned about the plight of the people who are bearing the brunt of the oil find.
We don't have to forget that people within the catchment of the oil enclave, that is Sekenita Takoradi Metropolis and its environs, are feeling the heat of having to pay more, in rent and everything, because there is serious competition for space.
Honorable Joseph Kujo is MP for Efia constituency in Sekendi Takoradi Metropolis. His constituents have one major concern.
My constituency is right in the middle of Sekendi Takoradi. Since 2007, when this oil find was announced, you saw land, even prices, moving to the roof.
This undoubtedly brings a lot of hardship to the ordinary workers who do not make the kind of money associated with salaries of workers in the oil and gas sector.
The teachers, the ordinary workers, because property prices have come up, government should attract some kind of public-private partnership in that area for that accommodation issue to be addressed.
It appears the high expectations is turning into a feeling of despair and hopelessness.
We have to do right by the people.
We should not miss out of these two commodities, oil and gas.
Everything must be carefully thought about and planned
all natural resources, whether it is on the earth surface, it is beneath, it is in the continental shelf, belongs to the people of Ghana.
Nigerians came to advise us that we should put an oil policy in place before anything happens. We never did.
Uganda even discovered oil before we did that, but they have not started exploitation now because they want to put in the right mechanism, they want to put in the right legal and regulatory framework, they want to put in the necessary infrastructure.
Ghana, it may seem, is headed for doom. Is Ghana going to catch the Dutch disease? Should Ghana have tackled this differently? So, what is the way forward?
There are times we need to get together and have a consensus of opinion and have a direction that, look, all of us together, this is the path we want to follow, where at least the oil find is concerned.
We should look at that angle very seriously, the push and pull policy, where we can drag everybody along in our development program.
We shouldn't cry over spilled milk. We can put in the necessary mechanism now through very rigorous participatory stakeholder engagement. Government must commit itself, the private sector must also commit itself, civil society and the media as well must also put pressure and join the advocacy that we put on these mechanisms to make sure that our oil resources will not be a curse for us, but rather be a blessing.
But while Solomon thinks that no one should cry over spilt milk, Nana Kwabena Nketia has a prayer.
My daily prayer is for peace. I pray for peace every day, because if we fight over these, we don't know what conflict would generate, whether there will be a Ghana one day.
It is important that policymakers look at this story with an open mind and follow the prescription of an economic journalist who has seen Ghana squander similar opportunities in times past.
We must learn the lessons that we learned with gold, cocoa, and other minerals, so that we use the revenue from oil and gas judiciously, prudently, and efficiently, so that we can improve the lot of many more Ghanaians.